go.
And we'll move on. There we go, ready? Everybody stand up, stand up, stand up. Come on. Move toward the center. Leave the aisle open in the middle. Okay, move toward the center. We're going to do a conga line. Our Agile team is going to be introduced, and they're going to do their dance on the way up to the stage. And this is it. Move a little closer. This is like a wedding. You got to move in the middle. Come on, you got to do a little bit Agile. Move a little bit. Move the shoulders some. Cheer the team on. We got Clayton Leonard, moderator. All right, Clayton. And we got Joy Rowan coming up next from Calvet. We got Tanya Rowan Homman coming up from Healthcare Services. Look at that dance, yeah. She'll be serving drinks later tonight at the bar. Free drinks on us. And last but not least, Mindy King from CDCR. Okay, don't sit down yet. Do the Agile while they're getting on stage. Do the Agile. You don't know what the Agile is? Oh, come on. You sit down. We actually rehearsed that.
Yeah.
Greg goes, that's my job. I'm out of here.
All right, well, thank you, Greg, for all the fun. So welcome, everybody, to the Agile Development Business Perspective session. I'm Clayton Leonard. I'm a certified Scrum Master with Kiefer Consulting. And so I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. And thank you for our panel. We'll actually introduce them here in a few minutes. But excited to be here with our panel. These are actually people from state agencies. So your peers, they're going to hear talk about Agile from in the trenches. So it's now no sugarcoating from a vendor. It's actually being heard from your peers at the state. So we're going to talk about two things. We'll give you a brief introduction to Agile and Scrum just to kind of set the stage. And then most of the discussion will actually be from the panel members. So we'll just kind of set the stage, give you some background, and hand over to the panel. Primary focus of the session will be from a business perspective, but we'll also hit some of the technical aspects. So we have a business management perspective as well as an IT management perspective for the session. So we have a lot to get through the next 45 minutes. So let's introduce our panel members. So if each of you can introduce yourself, your title, and then how long you've been doing Agile. So let's start with Mindy.
Hi, I'm Mindy King. I'm from the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I'm the Operations and Communications Manager for the Business Enterprise System. I've been working with Agile for approximately, I want to say, about 6 years. With Biz, we started, it was definitely a waterfall project, but as we moved to a program, we found the value in, we call it a bimodal, actually. So we work in Agile and waterfall. So that's my history.
My name is Tanya Homman. I'm the Chief of the Provider Enrollment Division for the Department of Healthcare Services. I am not an IT person. I am a complete business owner, and I have been in this Agile world for about a year. And we do have a booth outside. It's called PAVE. Right when you walk in, you'll see it. Go check it out. We're going live the 18th of this month. So it's just been a year in Agile, and I absolutely love it. I see some very good results.
Good afternoon. My name is Joy Rowan, and I am the supervisor of a business enterprise team at the California Department of Veterans Affairs. We started the implementation of an Agile project about a year ago for a database consolidation. So we are in the trenches right now and working hard and doing lots of sprints. So happy to be here and answer questions.
Thank you. And thank you guys for being here today. Very excited to have you. Next. So we're going to give you some Agile basics. This is very thumbnail sketch, just to give you some common language, common vernacular for our conversation. If you want to go deep into Agile and Scrum, this is not the session because we just don't have time in 45 minutes. Next. So why Agile? First, let's talk about some of the challenges with waterfall. You're probably familiar with these, but a study of 6,700 projects, they identified the top reasons for failure, and some of the key things that come out of waterfall are things like inability to deal with changing requirements. So you lock everything down at the front. If you have any changes along the way, it's a change request, and you get these contract negotiations. It can be a real mess. Problems with late integration. And then lastly, meeting specifications, but not the real business needs. So I met the requirements, I'm done. Oh, wait, the business doesn't like it. So Agile gives you the opportunity to have iteration and react to having the business have their hands on the system. Next. So Agile is different. It's a lightweight framework. It's not a heavy-duty, process-oriented approach. It focuses on rapid delivery, so early releases, often releases, so you can get that feedback from the business. Continuous planning and feedback cycles, adapting to changing requirements and priorities, promoting transparency. This is huge. So when the business and the IT teams work together more closely and talk, as you go along, you get some real value out of that. And all this aligns with the Agile Manifesto and the 12 principles of Agile. So what is the Agile Manifesto? I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about that for a second. So this is actually developed by some software developers, I think back in 2001, where they were frustrated with waterfall and they wanted to do software in a better way. So in essence, what it is they said we want to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So that's not to say process and tools are not important, but they want to weigh individuals and interactions as a higher priority over that. Similarly, working software over comprehensive documentation. You know, I have a great requirements document, but my software doesn't work. That doesn't really hold water. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And responding to change over following a plan. So we want to be responsive. We want to be agile and nimble as things change over time due to changing requirements, due to using the system and realizing where it works, where it doesn't work. But Agile allows for that. We're not going to get into the 12 Agile principles. We don't have time for that. But you can go to the Agile Manifesto website and see those 12 principles defined. Next. So we're going to talk about Scrum a little bit too. So Scrum is a popular project management methodology framework within Agile. So it's under the Agile umbrella. And it's really designed to help drive customer satisfaction and reduce time to market. And we're just going to talk about some key aspects of Scrum because it ties into our discussion here today. So product owners, so that's Tammy. So that her role is to really define what and when. So what kind of solution are we trying to create? When do we need to have this? But she doesn't define how much effort it's going to take. That's something that the development team does. She has to own the product solution. So she needs to be on point for that, to define what it is, to be responsible for that, as well as the backlog. So the backlog is really where we prioritize all the things that make up this product or solution. And so again, the product owner has to own that and be the point person for that. Availability to the team is critical to Agile. So she has to make herself available to answer questions, clarify requirements as they come up, review and accept results. So she is really the person that would say, this is done or this is not done. It's not up to other folks. And lastly, we need a point person to be the filter and the input for the business. So we don't want to have people from all over the organization coming to us saying, I want this, I want that. You want to have a product owner that kind of filters that, takes that in, prioritizes that against other requirements. So that product owner role is critical to the success. Development team, I'm just going to touch on this briefly. So they are the ones that actually do the work. They define the estimates for how much work, the time the work is going to take. They can influence the priorities, so they can say, you know what, I know you want this is a really cool business function, but to do that, we have to create a database, or we have to set up a network. So they handle some of the technical, they bring that technical perspective to the prioritization. And then lastly, the Scrum Master. The job of the Scrum Master is to coach, facilitate, instruct people on Agile and Scrum concepts, as well as to address impediments. So if there's things that are holding velocity of the team, to find out what those are, to address those and get those hopefully squashed so we can be more effective. Next. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually test drive some of these concepts I just talked through really quickly as a group here today. So I'm going to map these things out. So you, the audience, are going to serve the role as a product owner. So you guys are going to be prioritizing what we talk about today. So we're going to make this interactive. The product is the session and then the topics we cover in the session. The backlog, we actually have pre-populated a list of session topics based on what we thought product owners, business people, technology people would be interested in. The development team is our panel, so they're actually doing the work in the session to answer the questions, and I'm just the facilitator, so I'm just keeping things moving here. Next. One more. So again, in the interest of time, we've already pre-populated a backlog for us of 10 questions that we thought would be helpful. And we're going to have you prioritize the questions. So just to set this up, you guys each get 2 votes of what topics you think are most interesting. We're going to go through those 10 topics. We're going to vote on the topics. And then we're going to hit them in the order that you guys have requested. So the goal here is to give you the highest value topics first. We're not going to get through all 10. We don't have time. We'll probably get through roughly 5-ish. So we'll give you the highest value things first. So first question, that we could hit. It's up to you. What is in it for me as a product owner or IT manager from an Agile or Scrum perspective? Topic 2, the keys to effective product owner development team working relationships. How do we work together effectively and come up with a good solution? Topic 3, what is the biggest surprise about adopting Agile? Topic 4, biggest differences between Agile or Scrum and the traditional waterfall projects. Topic 5, what is the biggest challenge to adopting Agile and how have you addressed this challenge? 6, what is the biggest win from adopting Agile? 7, knowing what you know now, if you were to start over, what would be the top 3 things you would do differently next time around? Topic 8, how to be a successful product owner. So if you are in that role of product owner, what are some tips to do that most effectively? 9, in what ways did Agile change my relationship with IT? And we'll hit that from the other side too, where IT talks about the relationship with the business. Topic 10, what qualifies your staff to make them a good candidate for Agile teams? So not everybody on your team may be a good fit for Agile. Some people fit well, some people not so much. And so you may want to consider that as you look at creating your Agile team. So those are our contenders. This is where you guys need to be interactive. You each get 2 votes. My assistant, Christian, will be tallying up the votes. So again, 2 votes, honor system. How many people want to hit question number 1? All right. Question number 2, the keys to effective product owner development team working relationships. How many votes for that? Good. Topic 3, what are the biggest surprises about adopting Agile? Well, keep him up, he's got a tally. Good. All right. Number 4, biggest differences between Agile, Scrum, and traditional waterfall. Keep them up. All right. Number 5, what is the biggest challenge to adopting Agile, and how have you addressed this challenge? Keep them up. Number 6, what is the biggest win from adopting Agile? Number 7, knowing what you know now, what would be the top 3 things you would focus on if starting over with Agile? So this is kind of that rearview mirror approach. Number 8, how to be a successful product owner. All right. Number 9, in what ways did it change my relationship with IT? And we'll probably hit that again from the IT to business owner perspective as well. And lastly, what qualities in your staff make them good candidates for an Agile team? All right, so the tallies are in. We're going to hit these in order of value based on what you voted. So, drum roll.
Number 5.
Number 5 is number 1, so let's go to number 5. So the way this is going to work is we're going to have our panel members answer each of these questions. We'll start with the business perspective first, have the IT folks chime in. Again, this is business focused. And we'll have about 2 or 3 minutes for the business person to respond, and the IT people get 2 or 3 minutes. And we'll bang these out as quickly as we can and provide as much value as we can in the time we have left. All right, so can we switch to slide 5? Or I'm sorry, question 5. All right, so what is the biggest challenge to adopting Agile, and how have you addressed this challenge?
So I feel like I'm on Jeopardy. So I am the business product owner. I am not an IT guru at all. As a matter of fact, I lean on my peers that are IT knowledgeable, and some of them are sitting here staring down at me right now. But I certainly don't profess to know everything about IT, but I do know what I know about my product and my needs. So what was the biggest challenge for adopting Agile? I think for me it was even double challenging because we were adapting to dealing with IT. Rather than we've been accustomed to this waterfall approach where you're the business owner and then you have a division that oversees the IT and they do the requirements gathering for you, and then they transfer that information to their contractor who then in turn transfers it to the sub. So that's been what I've been accustomed to in any IT project, and this project has been more direct. We've taken out the middlemen, and it's been the business owner with the developers, the direct contract, and that has been a challenge, a wonderful challenge, because we've had to learn how to talk to each other, because we may be speaking English, but man, different terminology. And what means something to me means something different to them. So we got to be careful also with acronyms. So adapting to working in that IT world and the IT world working into the business world has been a challenge. But I think more importantly is educating people on what the Agile approach is. We've been accustomed to waterfall. This is how it goes, and you don't get to the end until you have everything in order, and here you go. But it's been about bringing in my managers to be trained on Scrum, how to be agile, how to adjust, how to modify, and to understand that, we can take things in small chunks and modify and adjust and adapt and build the next chunk. So I think it's just been a matter of educating and reinforcing that we're heading down the right path, that this is all good, that it's new, but it has a great outcome. So for me, it's been educating my team, my managers, my leadership, and of course, having the support of my own leadership and their understanding of what being in an agile environment is.
So Mindy or Joy,
Is
you
that
guys
2
want
minutes?
to chime
Okay.
in? That was
Okay.
perfect,
Sure.
actually. It was perfect.
I think it's interesting, Joy, that you said educating your staff, because basically it's the same for the IT side. That was the biggest challenge, was getting everybody to change not only the methodologies, but their mindset. We're so used to one big target we're all working for, but with Agile, you might have 5 targets that you're working on, and those targets are moving, and it's okay. So that big change in mindset was, I think, one of the biggest challenges. Also, what was I going to say with that? I went blank. No, but I think the training was a big thing for us. And not just training our IT staff. What we did was we did a week-long training in agility and Scrum, and we brought people from the business in also, and working side by side and building that partnership and ensuring that, that we were with them along this road. So that was getting the buy-in from the business was huge for us.
So I
We
think,
have about a minute left, so go ahead.
real quick. So one of our biggest challenges was definitely within IT, was part of, you said, the language challenges. So everyone's so used to the word requirement. And then all of a sudden we say, oh, we want to talk about user stories. And they're like, well, what about the requirement? You're like, no, that is the requirement, right? We're going to talk about, and now instead of saying, this will do this and that, we say, oh, as a student, I want to be able to do this. As a manager, I want to be able to do this. As a customer, I want to be able to do this. So we got to, really it was a big connection for me between IT and our business staff to start to have a better communication. I think one of the other biggest challenges was just the cultural changes. We have a lot of people who've worked for the state for many years, and we have programmers, and they just program. And then we have people that were hired to be BAs, right? And they gather requirements. And instead now you serve on a development team. And on that development team, you're all team members, and everyone's skill set starts to grow and those kinds of things.
Pretty
So
good.
learning to get out of your silos. I know, sorry, the second part was how do we address that? And I'll be honest, we had to look at some duty statements and say, we had some very specific duty statements, and we wanted to open that up so that with our new methodology, we can get our duty statements to match as well. So it's just a big culture change.
That's good.
Yeah, along with that, we had talked, sorry, do we have time?
You have 30 seconds.
We had talked about that with the duty statements. We had a lot of people from the business that came over to work with us, and through that, they wanted to jump over. They wanted to move over to the IT side because it was fun, it was something new, and they felt the value in it. So we did a lot of duty statement changing too.
All right, next question.
All right, the next question is number 3.
Number 3, what was the biggest surprise about adopting Agile? Okay, Tanya, you're first up.
Biggest surprise, again, I would say the lack of understanding of what that meant. What do you mean by that? I'm already flexible. What does that really mean? It truly was about understanding and training and actually going through the process. And Agile is, to me, it means adapting, and taking risk, taking challenges. It's just everything thrown in together to try to make it work. And I really liked what she just said a minute ago about how all these business people or developers and innovators or the BA come together and are truly working collaboratively And I think that's what Agile means, is that in order to be agile, to be flexible, to move fast, you have to have key business people that are interested in the project coming together as a team. So that's the part that I have really, really enjoyed, because I have learned a lot about IT. I don't want to live it. I'm perfectly happy where I'm at.
You're not going to jump ship.
But I have learned so much about my IT partner. I've learned so much about my own staff and about my users, which is the provider. So for me, I've had a lot of beautiful surprises when it comes to Agile, but the best part of it is that I'm seeing results faster and that I can adjust. And we've all come together and come up with an idea, right? And we're implementing it, but we see that there's an opportunity to adapt, to make it better for adoption maybe, or because the business user came up with something that you didn't realize, and you're able to be flexible and make those adjustments. Whereas in a big project, it's at the very tail end where you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot that part. So I think there's a lot of wonderful surprises about working Agile, and certainly the collaboration that is required gives you a good understanding of what everybody brings to the table and how valuable those teams really are.
Perfect. So Mindy or Joy, you guys want to add to that?
Sure.
You can go first.
Okay. Well, I think one of the biggest surprises for us was that we were able to find within our own team skill sets, new skill sets, and tap into those organically. And not necessarily need, I hate to say this, contractors all the time for delivery. But with that said, we were able to pinpoint where the specific skills were needed. So if we needed to reach out, we could. But to me, that was one of the biggest surprises. And then also, it was just it's kind of like a natural change management. You know, everybody's in the loop all the time. We're always working through it. We're making changes. We're switching directions. And there's no better change management than that, the communication. So OCM's happening real time. And then also the other surprise, like I said before, is just how much the non-IT staff enjoyed being part of the process along the way. So, and then building those partnerships. We talked about this before. We actually brought people in from the business, and they're working side by side with our IT staff. And that was new for them, and it was new for us too. But we've been able to build these great partnerships and been able to deliver some awesome things.
So ironically, mine was the exact same thing, and that was discovering skill sets, that we have these people, right, that work for you for maybe years, but because they've only done these certain tasks or items, you don't realize how much they know about coding or design, architecture. So you really find that you have these hidden gems amongst your own staff, and you kind of learn, you get to see and bring those types of things out. One of our other biggest surprises was, and I'm going to be honest, was some of our lack of standardization documentation. So, right, Agile goes back to say, well, oh, here's your standard, and you kind of adjust it. And so we would find we were missing some of those pieces. But with Agile, we would just say, okay, we're going to stop. This becomes a task. We're all going to work on it. And now we've developed a standard. And then we've taken what we've done in our project and used that throughout the division to make a bigger standard division documentation. So it was one of those things that a lot of people thought, somebody said, oh, well, where are the coding standards? Well, so-and-so wrote them years ago, and now we're .NET, right? And we kind of went back and forth, and now we kind of have actually laid out that documentation. So that part has been another win out of doing the project.
That's great. Next question, number 3.
Next question is number 7.
Knowing what you know now, looking in the rearview mirror, what would be the top 3 things you'd focus on if starting over with Agile? All right, so Tanya, you're first up.
Wow, I could write a book about lessons learned already. Very tough to bring it down to 3. One of the things I would say is your data. In my project, it's very data intensive. And so take a look at the data, clean it up as best as possible before you to start embarking on that. Two, I would say, is start talking with your staff, your business staff, your people that are going to be transitioning into this, because one of the toughest challenges has been having staff think, well, this is how it's done in paper. This is how it should be done in IT. And there's really a difference. And transitioning them to see the value that IT brings to our business processes and how it does change how we do things it's still challenging. So I would say start educating that very early on. And then the third and very important is have your people in your boat. That's something that my leadership has taught me over time, and my leadership has always been very, very supportive in the direction that we're wanting to head. My leadership was very clear on what they wanted, and they're all along the way. With any challenges that I had, I was able to get that support. So is having your leadership on board, your staff on board, having your business processes and your data ready for such a big change, and the migration, the cultural shift of going from a paper environment into a automated world, it does really rock your world. It's not, if you build your digital application just as you did your business process, your paper, then you've gained nothing. You still have the same problems. So it's really adjusting the mindset of folks. And I have a book coming out next year, it's Top 82, which will have all these tips.
Okay, Mindy or Joy, you want to add to that?
Sure. So one of the things, looking back, is we were able to send some of our IT staff to training, but unfortunately our product owners, our business side, didn't get that training. So a lot of the training came through, we brought on a consultant and they helped, and we did them kind of in small bits and pieces. But I feel like if we really had that foundational understanding from the business and IT, that really would have helped to speed things up at the very beginning. And then the other thing is just, I think a lot of it's just so cultural, getting your staff more comfortable, just learning to just talk about how something is working or not working, and not being afraid to change how you do things, right? So we changed the length of our sprints a couple times, right? We started in 2-week sprints, then we went to a 3-week sprint, and then we talked earlier, we actually built in intra-sprints. I don't know if I can market that word.
You invented it.
You should.
Right? And so what we did is, because this was brand new to us, we would do a sprint with including our business customer, and then we would say, hey, we in IT are going to do an intra sprint so that we can establish our processes, procedures, but our business customer knew the same time what we were doing, so they could see the value of what we were learning and teaching internally, and then the next time we brought them back in, and we did that, I think we did 3 or 4, and then we were good. So it wasn't like we did it the whole time, but enough to get started. And then the last, I would really consider looking at your physical setup of your staff. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, and it really is a team environment and people working together, and you're in a room together. And a lot of people, I mean, I've been with State for 18 years, right? I was used to having my space, my cubicle, and Agile is kind of about taking down the walls and having conversations all day long, and it's okay for the office to be a little bit loud. It's not quiet all the time, and that's because people are working and thinking. So just adjusting, right? I always think if somebody says, oh, your team's really quiet, I would be like, well, what's wrong? Something is wrong, right? Yeah. If they say, your team's really loud, I'm like, I know, right? Like, but this is what they got done today. So being able to take that next step.
Yeah, opening up the workspace is really important, we found. About a year ago, we took all the cubicles out of our area and created all the open workspace, which has been pretty amazing, I think, for our teams. There's a lot more collaboration. We were just talking about, you could hear a couple of people collaborating together, and then someone over here will hear something and they pipe in and said, hey, you might want to talk to so-and-so. They did the same thing. Or, it's just a really cool synergy and atmosphere for people to work in, especially when they're working on these Agile projects. And also the scrum rooms and the whiteboards and all that, we have all that in our areas. We also moved everybody to laptops, so they're more mobile. They could pick up their laptop and move to another area. They can work outside. We created telework policies, so we allow our staff to telework also. So just not being agile and just the methodology, we need to be more agile in the workspace too. And that goes back to what I was saying about our mindset, changing our mindset and the way we do business in the state. Also, talking about preparing staff, evangelizing, talking about it before you actually do something. Before you actually have the training, start talking about it. Show videos. Just start using some of the lingo, so preparing people for it. And then also going back to the documentation. Documentation is so important, and sometimes, you know, we talk about these agile willy-nilly, we're doing this, but really we need the documentation also, so stressing that importance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question.
Question number 10.
All right. What qualities in your staff make them a good candidate for Agile team? And again, not everybody is a good candidate, so
That is true.
let's talk about that.
Not everybody is a good candidate. You know, I had to make some shifts too. You know, I thought I built my team, and as you go through the process, you have to adapt too. It may not be working out after a bid, or maybe they're no longer interested, and you have to be able to make those tough decisions. I even changed up in my upper management of my project, but it was necessary and it was a good decision. So in my focus, it has been on who is seeking to transform government in my division. That's really who I was looking for, is targeting folks that were not afraid of change, that understood the mission and the vision, because I want them to cheerlead throughout their day, in their unit meetings, when they talk to their peers and so forth. So I was really looking for innovators and people that saw a future beyond paper and stagnant world. And then once we built those teams, if it wasn't working out, making some adjustments. Didn't necessarily mean, hey, you're off the project, go away. It's like, let's readjust. You know, I think your skill sets are better maybe focused in this area. So it's just taking a look at your team as a whole, positioning them where you need them the most, where their skill sets are better suited for your needs, and then keeping them invigorated too. You know, you want people that are cheerleaders, and that will always be. So that was how I kind of targeted my staff. And you know, I'm very fortunate because I have a wide range of staff in my division, and everybody has taken part in this. So I have what I call PAVER. So my system is Provider Application and Validation for Enrollment, PAVE. That is trademarked. And then my staff that are actually the key people that are hands-on at all times, they're called the PAVERs. And these PAVERs also learned the Scrum skills that they also translated when they started working with the providers, and, you know, hey, what are your business needs? So it's about being able to share that information down the line, so that way it starts disseminating across your division. So it's looking for folks that are not afraid of change, and that will be your cheerleaders when they're out doing their own thing.
Thank you. Mindy or Joy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's looking for those early adopters, people that, you know, are looking for something new and are excited about it. I mean, that's the key. I mean, you want excitement. You want people that are fully engaged. And I always say, I mean, all of us have the ability to be agile, right? I mean, if you run a house, you can be agile. You're constantly making decisions and you're having to switch gears. You know, you got kids, you're doing whatever you're doing. You're agile in your life. So if you could just tap into those skills and bring it over onto the business side, you'll be successful with it. Yeah.
So I think one of the other things we look for is consensus driven. So, right, because there is such value in the team making decisions that you need those team members that maybe they don't completely agree, but because this was a decision made for the team, they're going to keep moving forward with that decision. So for people, like you say, they're just a little more flexible. Like, right, we don't want to keep talking about the design for 10 days. We want to make a decision, and then maybe they didn't pick your design this time, or we went a different way, but you're okay with that because you're still going to get the next opportunity as a team as we keep moving forward.
All right, next question. Thank you.
All right, question number 4.
Number 4. And, okay, we'll have time for this one, maybe one more. Biggest differences between Agile, Scrum, and traditional waterfall?
For me, it certainly has been the speed. You know, I'm actually seeing results quickly. Things are finalized, they're settled, agreed upon, and we move on. Waterfall, for me, has tended to be this long vetted process. It's not until the very end that you really have your product. And even listening to the early morning speakers where they were talking about how in government we tend to box ourselves into these contracts that are very specific and very tight, and we think we needed to have it that tight because we got to have all those requirements written in stone. That doesn't allow us the flexibility and the agility that we need to move in this ever-changing and very fast-changing environment. So for me, the waterfall approach in the several efforts I've been in have not been very successful. This is, for me, very fast-producing, results-oriented, and certainly building the solution for my needs, not forcing me to adapt to a solution years down the road when the world has already changed. So that's the difference for me.
Yeah, with waterfall, when there's a change in direction, everybody's asking, what went wrong? You know, what's wrong? There's something wrong with the project. But with Agile, change is expected. We're constantly improving. We're constantly changing. So to me, that's the biggest difference.
I had the exact same thing, that it was just the amount of time, right? I don't want to be on a project for 3 years and then it rolls out and my business customer says, well, this isn't what I want anymore. It's what I wanted 5 years ago when I wrote the requirements, then they got to you 2 years later. So I like that our business now has, they're empowered to change projects weekly, day to day, right? You start working on a user story and that might have been their highest priority, and then they come in 2 weeks from now and they go, no, it's not our priority anymore. We want to change. And that's okay. We're ready for that. And then, right, we're still successful because every sprint we're offering a workable software, right? Our software is getting better and better each time. Mm-hmm. So they see a result every 2 to 3 weeks with a new release.
Perfect. We got time for one more question. Last one.
Number 2.
Number 2, the keys to effective product owner development team working relationships. So how do you work together effectively? Tanya.
You have got to partner. You have to have a lot of communication, a lot of patience. We've had some interesting, heated discussions, but we didn't walk out of there. It was more of trying to understand what the other was saying. It's for example, my developer might be saying, no, but Tanya, you need to understand this. And I'm going, no, but you need to understand this. I have these requirements, state, federal law, and all these things. And he's like, yes, I understand, but this is how we can do that and still meet your needs. So we've learned a lot about how we don't have to fit our current business process into the IT world, but how IT can actually make our processes better. And that comes with the partnership. You have to have a strong partnership with your developer, your contractor. And I am so happy to finally be involved in a solution that it's looking to build for my needs, not me being boxed into what's being built for me. So it's having good partnership, collaboration, and just a sense of, no, you got to get it done or you're not giving up. So I vote for Agile.
Agile for president.
The conga.
Mindy, Tanya, or Mindy and Joy.
So, going along with that, it's just investing time and resources. You have to be all in. If the project's a priority, treat it like it's a priority. Give those resources and your time to it. Go harder and faster. That's what we kind of say. And then just commit to the project.
So I also have transparency between IT and the business customer, that we are completely transparent. So one of the things we've done that helps with our relationship is every day we send a daily morning update. Christian does. And it shows on there what's left in the sprint, how many hours, what are our estimated hours for completing those tasks, and they get that every morning so they can see, right, how it's progressing daily. That was a little bit different for our staff because everyone took it as, well, you need to know every minute I'm working. And I'm like, no, I don't need to know every minute you're working. We're just estimating tasks. And over a year, I can tell you that is one area we've improved in greatly is estimation, which is hard in the state. Because, right, you think it's going to take 4 hours and 12 hours later, you're still working. And so we show our business customers and we're honest with them. So then when we say, right, we had a developer who say, well, we thought this would only take 3 hours. And then the next day they see 15. Like, what happened? We can say and have an open conversation. We really did think it was only going to be 3 hours, but once we got into this code, it was more complex. And you've just already opened up that dialogue, and it's transparent. So we're not hiding anything, just open communication every day.
Can I
Go
just
ahead.
add one more
Yes, you
thing?
may.
So in this agile environment, I've been criticized by some of my staff because they say, you're too deep in the weeds, because, you know, they're my managers. They should be managing the project. And, you know, I say to them, I'm not in the weeds. I need to be part of this because I need to make sure that we're all, you know, moving in this pace. And then when I look at my leadership, and I can tell you that my chief deputy, Karen Johnson, knows just about as much as I do about PAVE, and she can speak to it very easily. And that's how much engaged she is too. And I have to reflect back and say, should she be that engaged? Is she doing it? You know, but what I realize is that no, it really takes that village. You know, you need your leadership, you need your staff, you need everybody to be in your boat. So I agree with you.
Very good. We're right on track. All right, Christian? So let's wrap this up. Let's bring it home. So just want to thank you guys all for your time. And I want to thank our awesome panel members. So Joy, Tanya, and Mindy, can you guys give a round of applause? And I have to do 2 plugs. So we have a free readiness assessment that we're offering. You can go to this website and download it. There's also a business card, I think, on your table. There's no strings attached. So this is basically an assessment. You can use it to assess a project that you're looking into take on. You can use it, not use it. There's no strings attached. But we're just providing it out there as a tool for you to use. Are we good? All right, and the next plug is the PSP forums. So I can't see it. But the PSP forums, I think there's an app or something you guys can download and rate the session. So we ask that you rate the session. So thank you guys so much for your time. Have a great day. And thanks again to our panel members.